All right. So we had just talked about carbohydrates, and we had said the monomer for a carbohydrate is what? A monosaccharide. So a single sugar unit. Now, nucleic acids, they have a really complicated monomer. It actually consists of 3 parts. The monomer for a nucleic acid contains a phosphate, that's what that P stands for, a sugar, a ribose or deoxyribose sugar, and a nitrogen-containing part, what we would refer to as a nitrogen-containing base. And we'll talk about A's and T's and C's and G's. If you've ever done anything with DNA, you know there's adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. No one. Well, you don't routinely use those words. You just say the A's and T's and C's and G's, and it stands for each of those different bases. So the nucleic acids are very unusual in that they have a very complicated monomer. And that means that they're going to be put together, all of these are going to be combined together in long chains, right? Because we had said when we talk about biological macromolecules, it consists of chains of monomers. Notice we had said nitrogen here. So if we look at the slide that says nucleic acids and what it's composed of a lot of stuff. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, yes. Nitrogen and phosphorus. So if you were to see a chemical formula and it contained carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and phosphorus, it couldn't be a carbohydrate because carbohydrates don't have those, and neither do lipids. It's possible it would be a protein, but it would either be a protein or nucleic acid because it has all these different kinds of elements, atoms in it. So it ends up that these things, nucleic acids, are the biggest molecules in your body. And it's because they form really long chains. And you probably know DNA is the genetic material. And so DNA consists of these long double-stranded polymers. So 2 polymers that are side by side. So not only are you going to have a whole bunch of these tied together on one side, you're going to have a whole bunch of them on the other side as well. And we'd said it's the genetic material. And what is the genetic material? It's a code based on those 4 different adenine, thymine, cytosines, and guanines, then 4 different kinds of nitrogen-containing bases, they call it, the nitrogen-containing part. So the other thing, I had said we have a sugar here. If you are DNA, and what does DNA stand for? It stands for deoxyribose nucleic acid. Well, where does that, it's a crazy big name, right? Well, the deoxyribose means it's a deoxyribose sugar. And then we have a copy of a gene, which is a nucleic acid as well. But it's not DNA, it's RNA. What's the difference? Ribose is the sugar. Ribose nucleic acid, RNA. DNA is double-stranded. When you make a copy of the DNA, that RNA, it's a single strand. And DNA is giant. It can't leave the nucleus of the cell. RNA is smaller, so it can go out and express a gene. Okay, so another difference we have. So when we talk about DNA versus RNA, DNA has a different sugar, deoxyribose, from the RNA, which has a ribose sugar. And then the bases are really similar, but there's one difference. We have adenine in both RNA and DNA, cytosine in both RNA and DNA, and guanine in both RNA and DNA. But in DNA, the T is, in RNA, the thymine is replaced by something called uracil. So if we said, what are the different kinds of bases for DNA? It'd be the A's and T's and C's and G's. And if we said the different bases in RNA, it'd be the A's and U's, C's and G's. And the other difference is DNA is double-stranded, RNA is single-stranded. How is it put together? So I'm going to stop right here and we'll show how it's put together.